Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through the sources to get you informed fast. Today, we're looking at something huge, cricket in India. It's way more than just a sport, right? It's tangled up with national identity, politics, big money. So our mission today is to really explore how cricket, especially around events like the Asia Cup, kind of holds up a mirror to India's complex political scene. We'll dig into controversies, past boycotts, current tensions, and its role in diplomacy, but also, domestic issues too.
Exactly. We want to unpack why certain decisions are made. Decisions that go way beyond just the cricket pitch. You'll see how often the game reflects these much larger forces at play. We'll look at key moments, compare motivations.
More than just a game in India.
Okay, so everyone says cricket is like a religion in India, but how does a game actually get that status? How does it become almost sacred? Let's start there, tracing the roots.
It's a fascinating history, actually. It starts, of course, with British colonial rule. But the interesting twist is how this sport, brought by the colonizers, became, well, two things at once. A way to sort of fit in, but also a subtle kind of non-violent resistance.
Resistance, how so?
Think about those early tournaments, like the Bombay Quadrangular, later the Pentangular, early 20th century. They were actually organized along communal lines, Parsi teams, Hindu, Muslim, English teams.
That sounds potentially divisive.
It does, and there's debate about why they stopped in 45. Some say divisive, others say the BCCI, the main cricket board, felt threatened because these were drawing huge crowds, like 20,000 fans. More popular than the official Ranji Trophy sometimes. But despite the communal lines, playing was a big deal.
And elsewhere, like Bengal or Chennai, you said it was about beating the British at their own game.
Exactly. Especially after the 1857 mutiny, there were these charges of effeminacy against Indians. So adopting and excelling at cricket was a way to push back, to prove strength and capability on their terms.
Right. Which leads to this really interesting idea from Ashish Nandi. He says cricket is an Indian game accidentally discovered by the English. What's behind that? Sounds quite provocative.
It is. Nandi's point, and others echo this, is that cricket somehow just fits the Indian consciousness.
Yeah.
He sees it as almost pre-industrial, critiquing modern society. It's not linear, there's lots of ways.
Like wait for rain and farming?
Sort of, yeah. That resonates with deeper ideas, maybe Hindu philosophy's concept of cosmic time. It parallels agrarian life, waiting for weather, preparing for bad times. And Nandi also says it's a game where you're not just playing the opponent, but kind of battling destiny. That appeals deeply, apparently.
That's a really deep connection. So after independence, this link just gets stronger. Cricket becomes tied up with patriotism.
Very much so. It became equated with patriotic virtue, a way to build a unified national identity. You had early players like Nawab Bataudi Sr. or Ranjit Singh. They were seen as heroes, competing as equals internationally.
Role models.
Exactly. And the historian Ramachandra Guha points out something crucial. India, often struggles with economic issues, poverty. Guha says cricketers are sometimes asked to redeem these failures.
Wow, that's a heavy burden for a sport.
It's immense, to make people forget the harsh realities, even temporarily. It explains why today there's this feeling that, well, to be Indian is to like cricket. It's deeply embedded, but carries all these national hopes and pressures. 2, the BCCI's immense power and political ties.
Okay, so that deep cultural root explains a lot about how the governing body, the BCCI, became so influential. It's not just running cricket, it's a powerhouse,
Yeah.
right? Financially and politically.
Oh, absolutely. A financial juggernaut. Its rise was quite strategic. Think back to the 90s, Jagmohan Dalmia was key. He maneuvered to get the 96 World Cup hosted in the subcontinent, beating England's bid.
A big statement.
Huge. Then he became the first non-white head of the ICC, the international body, in 97. That really cemented the BCCI's global clout. And the money followed like a massive $7 million annual TV deal with Doordarshan, the state broadcaster, back in 99.
But the real explosion was the IPL, the Indian Premier League, from 2008. That just took things to another level.
Completely. The IPL is phenomenally successful. Huge viewership, massive corporate sponsors, the best international players. Star India now pays something like $434.8 million a year just for media rights. It's a global business.
Which inevitably attracts politicians, doesn't it? That combination of massive money and massive popularity.
It's the perfect combination for politicians seeking influence. You get power through the finances and popularity through the connection to this national passion. So, yes, they have a very keen interest.
And this interest, as the source suggests, has led to what's called a radical politicization of the BCCI. Key positions often go to people with strong political ties, maybe not always pure cricketing expertise.
That's the criticism, yes. Favoritism over merit sometime.
Okay, let's unpack this. With all that power and money, scrutiny followed. India's Supreme Court even stepped in, right? Commissioning the Lota Committee report in 2015. What was that about?
It was meant to tackle corruption, conflicts of interest, things that were becoming quite visible. The report had strong recommendations, like politicians shouldn't hold BCCI posts. The BCCI had to accept the broad strokes, but, well, the implementation got tricky.
How so? Were reforms bypassed?
In subtle ways, yes. For example, Narendra Modi, before becoming PM, headed the Gujarat Cricket Association, the GCA. There's that huge stadium in Ahmedabad named after him. After him, Amit Shah, now the Home Minister, took over the GCA. When the Lodha reforms came, Shah resigned, technically, but the GCA presidency was just left vacant, suggesting, some say, he was still pulling the strings behind the curtains.
And we see other examples of political families involved.
Definitely. Jay Shah, Amit Shah's son, became the BCCI secretary. The rules didn't explicitly ban relatives, so that was a loophole. Anurag Thakur, a prominent BJP politician, was pushed out as BCCI president by Lodha, but then his brother, Arun Dhamal, became the treasurer. And even appointments seemed to bend the rules. The Lodha report said officials should be under 70, but a 70-year-old former police chief was appointed head of the anti-corruption unit. It just shows how entrenched these power dynamics are, even against legal reforms. 3. The India-Pakistan cricket diplomacy. A complex equation.
Right, let's shift to maybe the most emotionally loaded topic, India versus Pakistan on the cricket field. These matches seem to be more than just games. They reflect the whole political tension, don't they?
They absolutely do. A perfect mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
If you compare two different Asia Cup situations, you see India's approach change. Take 1986. India were defending champs, but they pulled out of the Asia Cup in Sri Lanka.
Why was that?
Because of the civil war there. Player safety was a huge concern, especially after horrific events like the Anuradhapura massacre. It was a clear case of national security trumping sport. A very political decision, really.
Okay, now contrast that with the 2025 Asia Cup. It was meant to be in India, got moved to the UAE because of issues with Pakistan wanting shared hosting. But the key thing is, India is playing Pakistan this time, despite all the political strain.
Exactly. That's the big difference. And it tells us the calculation has changed. Public feeling about playing Pakistan is still very strong, especially after things like terror attacks.
Yeah, I saw that voter poll data. Only about 31% felt India should definitely play Pakistan. Over half said no, not at all.
And almost 80% felt it insulted the armed forces' sacrifices. Over 60% even wanted the Supreme Court to step in and stop the match.
So with that level of public opposition, why did the BCCI agree to play the match in the UAE? What's the justification?
Well, the official line involves this neutral venue agreement. India had refused to play a previous tournament, the Champions Trophy, and Pakistan citing security. So a condition was set. Future India-Pakistan matches would be at neutral locations.
Okay, that's the security angle. But
Yeah.
is there more to it?
Oh, absolutely. You cannot ignore the money. India-Pakistan matches are colossal revenue earners. We're talking 200 million live viewers for some matches. Ad slots like 10 seconds can sell for 5 million rupees. The broadcast rights, tickets, sponsorships, it's a huge financial driver.
So some people feel the BCCI kind of played it both ways, looked nationalist by not hosting in India, but still cashed in by playing elsewhere.
That's exactly the sentiment. The poll showed over 52% felt it was hypocritical to avoid bilateral series but play in these big tournaments. It raises questions. And you see inconsistencies too. Pakistan's hockey team refused to come to India for security reasons. Different rules for different sports.
It boils down to a tough question then. Is it principle versus politics, or is it just the money?
It's hard to escape the conclusion that the sheer financial scale of India-Pakistan cricket is a primary motivator. That revenue stream, especially for tournaments like the Asia Cup, seems incredibly powerful, perhaps powerful enough to override other strong considerations. 4. Cricket as a reflection of broader societal divides.
Okay, let's bring it back home now. Beyond the international politics, how does cricket reflect divisions within Indian society itself?
Unfortunately, it gets tied up with some pretty unpleasant aspects of nationalism. One recurring issue is Indian Muslims facing accusations of disloyalty, specifically of supporting Pakistan during matches.
And there was that incident with Mohammad Shami, the bowler.
Yes, a really stark example. After India lost Pakistan in a T20 World Cup match, Shami, who was the only Muslim player on the team then, faced horrific abuse online. It wasn't just about his performance, it was vile stuff, attacking his faith, telling him to go to Pakistan.
That's awful. Did his teammates back him up?
His captain, Virat Kohli, did speak out strongly, but reports noted a relative silence from many others. And it wasn't just online trolls.
What do you mean?
There were actual police actions. In several states, UP, Rajasthan, Kashmir Muslims were arrested, charged for allegedly raising pro-Pak slogans, or even just sharing celebratory posts after Pakistan won. It shows a real intolerance for expressing any kind of affinity, even just sporting joy, that runs counter to the dominant narrative.
Wow. And the divisions aren't just religious, are they? You mentioned caste earlier.
Yes, caste is another deep fault line that cricket reflects. You have star players like Ravindra Jadeja, who is openly proud of his upper caste Rajput identity, even using the honorific Sin in his name.
Which is his right, of course, but you're contrasting it with.
Contrasting it with the experience of Dalits, formerly known as untouchables. There was an incident where a Dalit man was attacked just for trying to add Sin to his name. It shows the hierarchies are still very real. Even someone like Yuvraj Singh, a cricket legend, casually used a deeply offensive casteist slur, bungy, talking about another player, showing a lack of sensitivity, perhaps, among the elite.
And this reflects in who actually gets to play at the highest level.
The numbers are shocking, really. Sources say only 4 Dalits have ever made it onto an active Indian national team roster in history.
4? Out of how many players over the decades?
Exactly. And Dalits make up about 17% of India's population. So, huge underrepresentation.
Why is that? Is it just economics?
Economics is definitely part of it. Sport can be a luxury, needing time, resources, things many Dalits lack access to. But critics also point to the BCCI's structure, maybe a kind of institutional blindness to caste. Facilities are often urban-focused, while lower caste populations are more rural.
Are there calls for change, like affirmative action?
Yes. Some politicians, like Ramdas Athawale, who is himself a Dalit minister, have suggested caste quotas in sports teams, similar to South Africa's policy for players of color. Others suggest solutions like the BCCI funding academies in rural areas, creating clearer pathways for talent from marginalized communities. 5. Sports diplomacy, a tool for good or geopolitical maneuvering.
Okay, let's zoom out again for a moment. We've talked a lot about the politics in cricket, but what about cricket as politics? Or more broadly, sports diplomacy. What exactly is that?
Basically, it's using the universal appeal of sport, its popularity, its shared language to build bridges, promote international relations, maybe ease tensions, foster cultural exchange.
Can you give some examples of where it's actually worked?
Oh, definitely. History has some great ones. The classic is ping pong diplomacy in 1971, U.S. table tennis players visiting China. It really humanized relations and paved the way for President Nixon's landmark visit.
Right, I remember that.
Then there's the miracle on ice, the U.S. hockey team beating the Soviets in the 1980 Olympics. Huge symbolic victory during the Cold War, massive boost to national morale. Sporting boycotts against apartheid South Africa were also really effective in applying international pressure. And even recently, North Korea participating in the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea helped thaw relations, at least temporarily.
So coming back to India, how does cricket fit into this as a soft power tool?
India definitely uses it that way. The IPL itself boosts global familiarity with India, influences cricket schedules worldwide, promotes tourism destination India.
And helping other nations too.
Yes, supporting smaller cricketing nations is a key part. Afghanistan is a prime example. They've trained in India, received support since 2015, and look at their progress. Beating England in the 2023 World Cup was huge, and that Indian support was a factor. Hosting big events also projects power and prestige. The Cricket World Cup in 2023, bringing in massive revenue. The Hockey World Cup, even the big IOC session, first time in 40 years.
But it can't all be positive, right? What are the risks or downsides of sports diplomacy?
No, it's definitely not always straightforward. A big risk is commercial interests just taking over, overshadowing any real diplomatic goals. Especially in sports like cricket, with so much money involved.
Like the India-Pakistan situation we discussed.
Exactly. And geopolitical realities can create huge controversies. Think of the Sochi Olympics in Russia in 2014. There's always a very fine line. Are you using sport for genuine positive engagement, or is it becoming a political weapon, a tool for pressure or even coercion? It's a constant balancing act. Outro.
So what we've really seen today is just how incredibly complex cricket is in India. It brings people together, yes, but it also reflects and sometimes even deepens the existing divides, regional, religious, caste. It's clearly so much more than just 11 players on a field.
Absolutely. And it shows that while cricket can be this incredibly powerful force for national pride and even for diplomacy, its real positive impact depends so much on transparency, on integrity, on being genuinely inclusive. Otherwise, it just risks becoming another stage for political games and power struggles.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe for you listening. Given how deeply this sport, this religion as some call it, is woven into the very fabric of India, what responsibility does it carry? Not just to the millions of fans, but responsibility for actually fostering genuine unity and progress across all parts of that incredibly diverse society.